Let's talk July transactions and August budget. But really quick, for my last video, the June video, I thought it would be under 5 minutes. It was 16. So I'm trying to see if I can make this under 10 minutes. And then the other thing is that instead of just showing the numbers, I figured I would use my actual template, the budget template that I use, and show that and how I actually get all of the numbers and all of that. And then lastly, I'm gonna do my favorite transaction and my least favorite transaction of the month at the end of the video. So we have no time to waste, let's get into it. So I have my computer here, so I'm gonna be looking down at that. So on the dashboard or budget template, you have your setup tab, which you put in all of your bills, expenses, your categories, and then also you can put in any financial goals that you have. This is built for people who kind of like want to retire early. But anyone can use it. You just would leave those blank. And then, yeah, all of your categories that will be used throughout the rest of the spreadsheet. And then I have the transactions tab. She makes it really easy. And I'm not an affiliate or anything. I didn't create this, but I will have it linked in the comment below if you're interested. But she makes it really easy to categorize stuff. So like, for example, let's say I have a gas transaction. I can just type gas, and then it will auto-populate all of these different categories. So that's really nice. And then she has different colors for like income versus expenses. And then you can also filter down to the month and it'll highlight it. And then if you want a certain category, what's a category I use? Maybe health and food and dining out. So it'll highlight all of that, which is helpful if you're trying to get a quick glance at something. Reset that. And then net worth. I actually don't think I looked at my net worth tab in June, but I did look at it today and filled it in. And so one thing that was really crazy is this 60,000. I'm up 60,000 on the year. That is crazy. What's even more crazy if I go to annual review is that on this tab, you can see like your annual numbers, and I've only invested $20,000, which 20,000 is a lot, but my net worth is up 60. That's crazy. So then I looked at the stock market, and the stock market is up, I think about 16% for the year, which is just insane, like almost 20%. So if I had 300,000 invested at the beginning of the year, January 1st, now it's 360,000. That is crazy, because 20% of 300 is 60, so about 360,000. But on this net worth tab, yeah, I like that she has the numbers there. You can see the change. Obviously, you don't see the change if there was nothing there the month before. So I need to be consistent to see the month-to-month change. But you also see your goals. If you're interested in financial independence, then those would be over here. And then, yeah, just the breakdown of your assets. So I have no debt, but like my car, my MacBook, it was a very expensive MacBook. Definitely wouldn't get dollar for dollar what I paid, but it's still worth multiple thousands. And then cash, most of that is just my emergency funds, and then investments. What else on this tab? Yeah, you can kind of see like cash hasn't really changed. It went down a bit because I paid for a couple things. And then, yeah, just the retirement accounts just started at 55, now they're at 82, partially because of contributions, but then also partially because of the market as well. So all that breakdown is there. Annual review, you see your annual numbers, which I think is helpful at a high level. I don't check this, and I can't imagine that I would check this really. It would be more checking year over year. I think within 1 year it's not the biggest help, but it is nice to see the numbers and to get a perspective. Like my overall savings rate for the year is 36%. I actually don't know if that's true because the months that I didn't put in a budget, I can't remember if I put in my income for those or not, but regardless, you can see growth, net worth, assets, all that, month over month changes, breakdowns. So this is just, yeah, good at a high level. And then taking funds, I'm not really using this, but I originally thought I would add another 3,000 to my emergency fund this year, but I have absolutely no plans to get a mortgage. That was if I was gonna get a house, I was gonna increase it. But I'm not. So anyways, don't really use these, at least not this year, maybe in the future. And then no spend. This is also part of the reason why I got this, because I think it's just cool to see. But in July, my no spend days was 7. And you can choose which categories are exceptions. So like if you have to get gas, that's not, you can like select what you want. But mainly if I'm spending money on food, or shopping or whatever, those would count against the no spend days. So I think one of my goals for August is to have 10 no spend days. And really my goal with that is just to minimize how often I eat out. So I think that would be like at least 2 days no spend. And if I keep that front of mind, then that means like maybe one weekend day and one weekday where I'm no spend. So that's fun. For July, I mentioned I would roll over the $800 from June. And so that, it's really nice that you can do that. You just check this box if you don't want it to count. And then here, just all the breakdowns of the numbers. You can put a check once the bill is paid for. And it shows up green if you have room to spend, or red if you're over budget. Like here, restaurants. I was a bit over. But overall, yeah, just those. But basically the income number is the same as last month, bills same as last month, investments same, because almost all of those are automated. And then for housing, I don't know if I meant for this to be the sheets. I think I did, but obviously didn't end up buying those. Probably won't buy them in August. They may not even get bought till maybe like Black Friday. They're not a pressing need. Well, they're not even a need. Gas, slightly under. My tank is at a quarter tank, so I will buy gas tomorrow, August 1st. For car maintenance, I thought the maintenance light came on and I thought I would do it in July, but it'd probably be August. So that's why that's under. Parking was under. And then, ooh, cancel. And then groceries was under, but restaurants was over. I think in general, as long as this number is under 500, which is at 476, that's okay by me. Next is nails. I budgeted 200 for that. I know I like to overestimate, but it was 45. And I don't think that's a monthly thing, maybe every other month. And then under budgeted for health and fitness and products. Products was like skincare stuff, and then health and fitness, I think was the Rise app, which I thought it was $19.99, but maybe I just had like a 50% off the first month or something. And then hobby reading, I have Kindle Unlimited and Book of the Month. I plan to cancel Kindle Unlimited, but I currently have a book that I want to finish before canceling and another book that I want to read. And so I think once I finish those two, I'll cancel it. And then I'll only do Kindle Unlimited when I have a list of books that I just want to like speed through for like 2 or 3 months and then cancel it again. And then for YouTube, I bought an iPad, so that was a large expense. Hopefully the only iPad I ever buy in my life, but TBD. Definitely not monthly or even annual expense. Next is knitting, and I spent $185 on that. I knit a vest. That's for the kit and the needles. I knit a vest. It was a lot of fun. Glad I'm getting back into knitting. But I think I'll try and knit 2 more vests in August, but I'll use less expensive yarn. And so that should not be quite as high ongoing. And then coding, that's with the project. Yep, it's not finished. Once it's finished, this number should be near 0. But until it's finished, it probably will be some chunk of change every month. Hopefully I finish it in August, that's the plan. Other fun and entertainment, I went to a rodeo, and so some of that is in there. And then I also bought National Treasure, which is one of my top 10 favorite movies. I've like hem and hawed back and forth every time I want to watch it, whether or not to buy it and actually own it versus trying to find it on the dark web. And so now I own it. And so now I don't have to like hem and haw. I can just watch it whenever. It's great. But I've literally thought for like years whether or not to buy it. And then giving and supporting friends' ministry. And then shopping, that was supposed to be for the sheets that I did not buy, probably won't buy till November. And then subscriptions, that's where I thought the Rise would go, but it was under health and fitness, which I think I double counted it when I was budgeting, or I didn't count it here, or whatever, miscategorized it when I was budgeting. And then education, and then flights and stay, that was supposed to be for the Salt Lake City trip if I do run the half marathon in Utah in September. Didn't end up booking it, but I do plan to run, committing to run, but I won't commit until I buy my spot and the flight and my Airbnb stay. So that is getting pushed to August. So that's the spends for July. Income was $7,700, spent $2,800, invested $4,100, and of that $2,800, $500 that was for an iPad. I think that was the only not normal expense. Oh yeah, 500 of that was for the iPad, and then 200 was for, I got my car detailed, which is probably the last time, first and only time that I will get the car detailed before it's sold in 10 years, I don't know. But that's not going to be a regular thing. I was just like, once I hit 100,000, I was like, I should get it detailed because it just had stains everywhere. Now it's at 123,000 and I just now got it detailed. And then my two favorite expenses for the month, one was a knitting lesson at the local yarn shop called Hank Yarn. That was really fun. It was kind of like a one-on-one session where I got to ask all my questions. It was really helpful. They do have like sessions where you can do a class for like $50, but I was like, I don't really have a set of the questions. It's not like an ongoing thing. So I splurged. It was like $15 for a private 1-hour session. I was like, that's worth it. The other favorite expense of the month was from forever ago, but I am glad I'm still with Book of the Month because this book so far has been good. I have about 100 pages left, but I'm glad I have a Book of the Month subscription. So that's a fave. And then my least favorite transaction of the month is PacSun. So basically I went to buy some shorts for the rodeo, and PacSun near me, their changing rooms are closed. And so they say, hey, you can buy anything and then just walk over to Macy's, which is right next door in the mall, and use their changing rooms, come back if you want to return something. So I bought stuff, went home, was like, I want to try it on at home. Didn't like any of it. Returned it like maybe 5 days later, but somehow I bought it for $150, like 4 pairs of shorts for $150. I returned all 4 pairs, but I only was refunded $130 something. And I destroyed the receipt. I shredded the receipt. Normally I wouldn't shred the receipts quite so quickly, but I think I shredded it like that day or the next day. And so it was like maybe 4 days later that I realized there was a discrepancy. And so that's annoying. I don't know if I can go back to them and they pull it up because I don't think I printed the receipt and didn't get an email. So I don't know if that's fixable, but part of me is like, it's $12. Part of me is like, it's $12 I shouldn't have to pay for something that I don't even own them anymore. Like, I don't know why it wouldn't refund the full price. Or maybe they were on sale when I bought it and then not on sale and they only, I don't know. That's annoying. But anyways, for August, basically all the numbers are the same, like income, bills, investments, those are all automated. Housing, I don't know, just was like, if there's something I need to buy for my living. And then gas is 100 normally. Maintenance, I'll do my car maintenance this month. Car insurance is due, so I will pay that. And then parking, just if I need to pay for parking this month. And then groceries and restaurants, so I upped the restaurants from 300 to 350. And so technically that is over the 500 that I have in my head, but groceries is not going to be 200. So it should still net out to 500 or less. And then massage, this is one of my goals for 2024 was to get a massage every quarter. We're now halfway through the year and I have not gotten one massage. So it's on there. There's room for it in the budget. But TBD, we'll see if I actually do it. And then running, I plan on paying for the Runna app, which does training plans both for running and for weightlifting. And so I'll do that in training for the half marathons coming up. And so I think it's like $20 a month, but budgeted $40 just in case I want to get like new shirts or also for gels as I'm training, whatever. And then eyebrows, I'll do that once a month. And products, I am out of face wash, so that I will purchase. And then hobby reading, Kindle Unlimited and Book of the Month. Maybe this will be my last month with Kindle Unlimited for the foreseeable future. TBD. And then on knitting, I plan to knit 2 more vests and use a lot less expensive yarn. That's $100 for 2 yarns worth of vests. 2 vests yarns worth. Whatever. And then coding, again, hopefully this is the last month that I'm like putting money towards the project. So yeah, 100. And then business, just trying to see if I can get something up and running, but more just to have budget and room for it if I have time and energy. And then ministry support, shopping, $100, flights and stay. This is for the Salt Lake trip in the fall. And so actually putting that on the budget. And then up here, I'm going to start using this financial goals. I think this is helpful, but Basically haven't been tithing since February, because in February I did my sabbatical and I wasn't paid, and so I stopped that transaction or that automated payment and haven't restarted it, and so I need to get back on that, and then also tithe on the money since then. And then 10 days no spend, I already explained that, and then booking Airbnb and flight for the August trip or September trip, but doing it in August, and then actually that's to say September, and then also for the February trip. So booking all of that this month is not necessarily a financial goal. I guess the goal should be like invest X amounts or save this amount. But which reminds me, oh yeah, and then new car. So that's one thing of like, I don't know how long my car's gonna last. It has 123,456 miles as of 2 weeks ago. And so I just have no idea how long it's gonna last. So I wanna at least start putting some money towards that so that I'm prepared and not completely like, oh my gosh, when it dies. It could die like in a week, could die in 10 years. I have no idea, but I feel like $200 a month is a good starting spot for that. Okay, I think that's it for this month. If you have any and all feedback, I'm always open to that. So feel free to leave that in the comments below. And if you haven't done your budget, you should do your budget. But thanks for watching, bye. We have red, white, and blue for the Olympics.